It's Maz in for Barney today, and we're joined now by the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders going into season number 2, Dave Thomas. Dave, first off, how excited are you for tomorrow on a personal level?
Oh, you have no idea. It is one of those things that I was really excited when training camp started. And I think that I started to go through the players' mentality and the fact that, the players, they go through the work and they have to go through the meetings and they have to go through everything that they need to do in order just to play the game, right? It's something everybody wants to do is to play the game. And now I'm in the same spot where, okay, we've done the work. We've been observant. We've been following along. We've been trying to understand what the players are seeing. We're trying to understand what player personnel is seeing. And so now all that can be put behind us for a day in order to just go out and play a game.
One thing we learned about you last year, because you and I both came into the company at around the same time. So we started this together. And one of the crazy quirks that we learned about you is that you have certain wardrobe for certain games, maybe certain stadiums at certain times. It's the preseason. Does the craziness start in 2 weeks when the regular season starts, or are you nuts in the preseason too?
Yeah, no, I'm crazy all the time. And I'm actually going back to the outfit that I wore in the West Final last year.
Dave, we didn't win the West Final. Dave.
I know. But it's traveled to Winnipeg before. It's seen Winnipeg before. And I'm hoping that it'll change its fortunes in Winnipeg tomorrow.
I had said there are a lot of expectations that other people have put on this football team, automatically anointing them to the Grey Cup. And I'd said, as a hardcore fan, if we go 3-0 against the Bombers this year, put us in that Grey Cup. I am all in. We play them twice in Winnipeg. That has not been a good spot for us over the past decade. You, like everybody else and me, we've suffered through a lot of bad games at, what is it now, Princess Auto Stadium. So let's go 3-0. And if we start this tomorrow, hey, I'm with you. Preseason game. Depth chart comes out earlier today. And I was expecting, because I saw the email come out to be like, all right, it's going to be the next generation of Saskatchewan Roughriders starting in Winnipeg. No, Trevor Harris, your starting quarterback. AJ Ouellette, your starting running back. Jameer Thurman, your starting middle linebacker. Malik Carney, starting defense. Were you as surprised as I was that the Riders are putting this many starters in Winnipeg? Do this game tomorrow?
In a word, yes, absolutely. I was surprised. And then I had a great conversation with Luke Mullender because we're kind of talking about it a little bit. And he said, you know what? This really does kind of make sense, though, if you think about it. So let's go ahead and break down the next 3 weeks. Yes, we're talking 3 weeks ahead before preseason game number 1. So after tomorrow's game, the team has 6 days off and they play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers again at home on Friday. Then they have another short week where they play the regular season opener on a Thursday night at Mosaic Stadium against the Ottawa Red Blacks. So Luke's idea, and again, I hadn't really thought of it, but it makes a ton of sense now. So you play your starters, you get them in, they get acclimatized to what's going on. You make sure that they're comfortable with everything that has been added to the playbook. And again, they're not going to show everything, but they're going to be able to get their timing back, little things like that. And once they do that, you take them out, and then they can go ahead and they can practice at training camp next week in Regina, and then they can set their sights on the regular season opener. Maybe you don't have to play as many of them as you normally would have on Friday. You reserve next Friday's game for the players that are on the bubble and clearly need to do something to make the roster. So I think that this is a real management of players, right? And I think it's a great idea now that Luke brought it up, and I wish I was smart enough to think of it myself.
Well, maybe all the guys that aren't playing next Friday in Regina are going to Luke's for a pool party after the game, and they can just be fresh for that, because I hear that the pool is open and the smoker is almost delivered. So if you're like, what? Then you haven't been paying attention to the training camp reports we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. Now, we had Edwin Harrison on earlier in hour number 1, the MVP coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders last year, who did an incredible job with that offensive line. So here's what it looks like for tomorrow. Tate, Fry, Ferglin, Brammer, and Johnson. Do you think that in a couple of weeks against Ottawa, this is the potential starting 5?
No, Jamarcus Hardrick isn't on there. But aside from Yoshi, this is a formidable offensive line. For sure it is. And the one thing is Daniel Johnson's had an outstanding training camp. He has been hands down one of the best players. And Coach Mace even said it earlier to me, he's saying, you know what, he's not only a great player, as good of a player as he's as good of a person. And that's absolutely true. So he's had an outstanding camp. He's earned his opportunity. Again, I almost wondered if Jamarcus Hardrick was going to get us an opportunity to play in this game. He is here in Winnipeg, but I think that that's also a management situation. You know what he can do. He hasn't shown any signs of slowing down or having any injury hangover, if you will, right? Where you have to get over that hurdle mentally. He's past that in you name whatever context you want to put it in. He has gotten over that, and he is back to the Jamarcus Hardrick that we saw before he signed as a free agent. So you've seen enough from him. You manage his body, and I think that's why he's not playing.
Kean Schaefer-Baker in the slot, Del Duncan Busby in the slot, Sam Emelis in the slot. Listed as Dante Myers, but after Luke's cart conversation, it's Donnie Myers, wide receiver. Nick Weeb listed right below that on the depth chart. Tomorrow in Rosetown and in Saskatoon, do you think that people will be like lunging forward towards the radio if you're calling his name because they want, something special to happen, like we do when you're like, whoa,
yeah,
this is a big game. Yeah. This is the big game. It's funny. We all want him to make it, but he's going to have to show that he's earning this roster spot and that he's going to contribute.
For sure. He's done everything right in camp so far. And it was interesting because yesterday I talked to him after the workout and I just asked him if at times his eyes got big, right? Like, so you walk out your first day at rookie camp and Trevor Harris fires you a bullet, your first pass over the middle. Like, is it like, wow? Well, he's been on road trips. He's been in high stakes games. He's done all of that before at the University of Saskatchewan. But you could see today as he boarded the bus, as we're getting set to take off from Saskatoon, he came on and you could see there was that little glimpse around like, I want this and I've got an opportunity to do it. And there's some guys that did not come from Saskatoon who I'm assuming are going to get an opportunity to play next week. I think Daniel Weeb has earned the right to be here in Winnipeg. And I know that sounds really, really, really terse, if you will, but he has earned the opportunity to be here and have an opportunity to perform with some of the number ones. So it's a huge opportunity for him going forward. It's also a big one for Deshaun Mims, right? He's on this trip as well. Yeah. And he was sensational in the green and white game last weekend that he got nicked up for 3 days. So we'll see, A, if he's over that, and B, what he can do when it comes down to the lights being on, if you will.
Did Mace tip his hand on how much Harris is going to play tomorrow?
Well, it's funny, right? And you may think it's a joke, but it's also somewhat sincere because Trevor Harris loves the game of football. And after today, it was announced that he was going to be the starting quarterback. How much do you want to play? He said, I'd like to play 3.5 quarters. And if it's a close game, leave me in. Well, we all know that's not going to happen. But that's just, in some ways, the way that Trevor Harris is. He's a competitor, and he just loves the game of football. So for Corey Mace, when he was asked, well, here's what your quarterback is saying, what are you saying? He's saying, we want to come in, we want to make sure that we've got the foundation set and where we want to be. I don't think we're going to see a great deal of Trevor Harris, but there isn't anything formal. I don't think there's a snap count. I don't think there's anything like that. I think we get a feel, and Trevor gets a feel for getting his eyes right, seeing what he needs to see in the game. And once they feel that everybody's on that same page, out comes Trevor Harris.
A lot of us are curious to see Jake Maier when the bullets are flying in live action. I mean, he's number 2 on the depth chart. Now, that's just where he's listed today, but he has the most experience out of anybody else in the Rider quarterbacking stable behind Trevor Harris. So, and he has looked good in camp. So a lot of us will be watching that in closely. But then this running back competition. So you've got AJ Ouellette, and once again, how much is he going to play? Is it a series? Is it a quarter? Is it a half? But then you have Anderson and Penix, and a lot of us are curious. All right, well, if this is the supporting cast, we've heard the quick feet. We've heard they're good out of the backfield. They're good guys. They know they've got experience. They're ready for this opportunity. All right, time to show Rider Nation what you got. Anderson and Penix, if you had to grade them in the past couple of weeks, who do you have slotted higher behind Ouellette?
That's a tough question. They both are excellent at running the football. So you get a check mark on both of those. When it comes to blocking and understanding the blocking scheme, they both have caught on quickly. Trent Penix, I would suggest, is maybe a little bit more physical, but I know that Mario Anderson would be upset at me for saying that. So very even there. Out of the backfield, catching the football, Mario Anderson quite comfortable. He is able to make receptions like receivers make, if that makes sense. Trent Penix can catch the ball out of the backfield, but doesn't look like he's got that. Maybe he's not at that level of Mario Anderson. But then there's the intangible. What is the intangible? The intangible is that Trent Penix can play special teams, and he can play special teams very well. He can get down, he can cover a kick, he can cover a punt. Mario Anderson hasn't been returning kicks. Trent Penix hasn't either. But Mario Anderson also hasn't been on the return cover teams at all. So there's the intangible right there, right? So Trent Penix has been playing some special teams. And his coaches, Andrew Harris, for example, has said that he's doing it very well.
Tomorrow it'll be a little different. When there's a Willie Jefferson lined up on the other side of the football who's coming after you, hey, listen, pressure makes diamonds, right? So, and that's probably what I'm most excited about. I was happy when I checked the Bombers depth chart that they're playing a lot of their starters as well, because let's find out who this Rider team is early. And if it's like, we got the right guys here, but we don't have them here, boom. And if they're going to be like, all right, we're moving on, we're making those moves because we have the depth and we've brought in that talent. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Dave's going to stay. We're going to break down this defense. It's a who's who. That murderer's row from last year is back. When I saw Roland Milligan's playing, I'm like, all right, we mean business. Tomorrow as Luke always says, this is a business trip. We've got some business to take care of. All right, we're talking about the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Nate, don't forget, when the Riders play, get the KFC Game Day Special, the Big Crunch for $4.95 and the Big Crunch Combo for $7.95 at participating KFC locations. And don't forget, Rider football starts tomorrow on 620 CKRM. We are the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network, and we'll have the pregame show starting at 11, and kickoff will go at 2. This is 620 CKRM and the Sports Cage on the home of the Riders. The Sports Cage is brought to you by Nelson Homes, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. We were scheduled to have CFL legend Charleston Hughes on in hour 1. I just heard from Charleston. Some stuff had come up, and we're going to try and have Charleston on with us on Wednesday on the Sports Cage. And a lot of people are like, hey, Matt Dunnigan's not on the TSN panel anymore. Charleston, are you getting that job? It's a question I want to ask. I don't know. Are you? So we'll find out. So we're efforting Charleston Hughes for Wednesday on the Cage. It's Maz and voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas. This is the Red Zone Sports. We're talking Saskatchewan Roughriders for the Red Zone Sports Bar in Saskatoon behind the Travel Lodge. They've been our training camp sponsors. Preseason game number 1 goes tomorrow in Winnipeg. It's one of 4 games. You've got Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto at Hamilton, Edmonton at Calgary, and the Riders in Winnipeg to take on the Bombers. And when the depth chart was released earlier today, this is a regular season starting lineup. Marcus Sayles is your starting quarterback. Your starting halfback is Roland Milligan. You've got Jackson Ford as free safety. DeMarcus Fields, your halfback, and Tavon Campbell is your quarterback. Your linebackers, A.J. Allen, Jameer Thurman, and Dave. Got a little smile when I read this. Anton Brooks Jr., your strong side linebacker. Yeah. I'm hoping he goes out and has a whale of a game, and that's his job, and he nails it down, and he doesn't give it back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's an opportunity, but you got to remember, number one, CJ Rivas isn't dressing for this game tomorrow, and I can assure you that's going to be his spot.
I know. Well, but hey, if he's pushing guys, he's pushing vets. Not everybody's making this club, and I bet you, like a lot of when cut down day comes, look when they cut Fry the first time. There's going to be some big names that are probably going to be, shocking people in Rider Nation to be like, all right, well, then we trust in J.O. and Mace that They found somebody better to play that position. And I'm not saying CJ Rivas is not going to be on this football team, but it's funny. Tomorrow at around 5 o'clock, we're going to know some guys are either going to step up to the plate or other guys are going to let this opportunity slip away. And you hope it's one, not the others. Luke mentioned earlier, the Riders are looking for somebody to play opposite of Malik Carney in the DN. So on the other side, you've got Baldonado, you've got Patrick, Corte Moore, and Hoskins. You've got Marion, you've got Black. Who are a couple of guys that, in your mind, could be the answer to the other side?
The two names that jump off the page are Aaron Patrick, of course. Aaron's had a terrific camp, former NFLer. He is tall, he is quick, he is physical, he's everything that you look for in a defensive end. The only knock against him right now is that this is going to be his first ever Canadian Football League game, right? Being that yard off the ball, that's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to that. And then, of course, you've got Eric Black. He's with the team for the second year now. They liked what they saw from him last year. He's been around now, Riderville, like I say, for 2 seasons. So he's going to have an opportunity. And then, again, maybe you start to see a guy like Lake Corte Moore. He told me earlier this week, right? I was coming off an injury. I thought it was going to be a week maybe, and then it ended up being longer than that. So we'll see where he fits in, as does Haba Baldonado, right? Again, the pit product, he comes in and he just makes plays when he's on the field. Now, at times he can be a little undisciplined, and he seems to have locked that in here at camp this time around. But it'll be interesting. Those, I think, are the 3 names that we'll watch for tomorrow to see who takes a step forward.
It's funny when you mentioned undisciplined, because I know there were some games last year when he flashed and it was like, wow. But then there will be times where he would not have contain on the out. He would go in, the quarterback zips to the outside. It's like, oh, okay. That's going to show up on tape. I'm sure that's going to get brought up. So if you're Corey Mace tomorrow, Zach Collaros is starting. Of course, everybody's talking about base defense, base offense. Is it, like Charleston Hughes says, go from the first snap, and there's no friends. It's on.
Well, and with the potential for these two teams to play 5 times at minimum this season, right? Like, do you want to make a statement? The competitor in me, right? If it's Dave Thomas and I'm playing a video game, I want to crush you in the preseason.
Yep.
But this is not a video game. This is a situation where you've got to go ahead and you have to be smart. And Corey Mace is smart. He knows what's going on, right? So here in Winnipeg, the Bombers are going to go ahead and, if I was assessing what they're trying to do, and Mike O'Shea, I think they maybe learned a lesson last year. Remember how slow they started and how few of the veterans that they played in the preseason? Like Brady Oliveira is scheduled to play tomorrow, and it'll be the first time that he's played in a preseason game since 2021. And that was coming off the COVID year, right? So to me, I think the Blue Bombers know that they've got to get their veterans some work. I don't know that they need to make a statement or anything like that. I don't think there's going to be any statements made tomorrow. I think the only statements are going to be internal ones with each of the 2 teams trying to figure out what they're going to do with their roster and how they're going to move forward for next week when they face one another in Regina on the Friday night.
I'm looking forward to this. You know what? And I don't know when the last time I've looked forward to a preseason football game. Like, I was even intrigued watching that Lions Stampeder game on Holiday Monday, just because I missed CFL football. And with 4 games tomorrow, although breaking news earlier today, Dave, I'm not sure if you were on the plane and saw this, they've banned the air horns in Montreal. Now, whether they'll enforce it, that's a whole other thing. When do you guys go to Montreal? When is that? Because if there is no air horns, it's going to be a totally different experience for you calling a game there.
You're gonna be amazed. It's August 2nd. I know that because it's the day before my wedding anniversary. Everything's in context, right? Good
to know, because the week earlier on July 26th is my wedding anniversary. So I don't remember. It's all around that time. So assuming you're taking your wife on the trip, okay, that's great. Harvard Media is paying for spouses now. This is awesome. Nice. And Montreal is a romantic city anyways. Luke, sorry, we're not doing pregame meal tonight. I'm going out for my anniversary dinner. Tomorrow, Toronto, Hamilton. And we mentioned, Colson and I were chatting about this last hour. Bo Levi Mitchell, and let's see. Why am I drawing a blank? Who's the high price? No, not shown. Receiver. So why am I drawing a blank? Who did we? High price free agent receiver. Why am I doing this? He used to play for the Bombers. Oh, I hate those when
Kenny
this happens.
Lawler.
Kenny Lawler. Sorry. Yeah. How can you forget a Kenny Lawler? Tomorrow, it's the debut of Bo Levi Mitchell and Kenny Lawler in Hamilton, which could cause all sorts of havoc for defenses across the league. And then Edmonton, Calgary. You're finally going to get to see in a Stampeder uniform Vernon Adams Jr. and an Edmonton Eskimo team that isn't starting Trey Ford in a brand new offense. And you would think, like, this is new for everybody. Like, you'd want to give everybody some time, but apparently no, it's going to be the Cody Fajardo show and then everybody else at McMahon Stadium tomorrow night. Are you a little puzzled by no Trey Ford playing time, even a series here or there?
Not in the least. Not at all. Not one iota. Because there's two different games that are going to be taking place in that game. The Calgary Stampeders are doing what the Saskatchewan Roughriders did last year. The Stampeders wrap up their preseason tomorrow. So the Stampeders, anybody that's on the bubble is going to play. They're going to want to get some of their veterans in. You mentioned Vernon Adams Jr., who didn't play in BC. They're going to want to get him in. So they're going to have a pretty veteran group that I would assume that is going to take the field for the Calgary Stampeders. Do you want to throw the Edmonton Elks into the fire in that, right? So if I'm Trey Ford, right, they've already got enough to have to talk about how, well, Cody Fajardo is right behind him. And, there's so many different layers to that. If I'm the Edmonton Elks, the way I'm approaching this is an evaluation tool, primarily to find out who can do what against veteran players that the Calgary Stampeders are going to be playing. So this, to me, is not a surprise at all. You protect Trey Ford, you allow him to play your home game next week and wrap up the preseason with him, giving him the opportunity to get some extended playing time within the offense that they're trying to execute from Jordan Maksimic. So, no, I am not surprised at all.
All right, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Pre-game show starts tomorrow morning at 11. Dave and Luke will have the call. The kickoff will go just around 2 on the 620 CKRM Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network. Dave, have a great night. We will catch you tomorrow on the radio.